Okay, I'm to talk about Syria. I'm going to try and make you understand the situation as I'm getting it from Damascus. And I've got two sources that I'm going to rely on, particularly in this discussion. One is an Alawite, one is HTS, or close associate of HTS. Um, and so they're both saying flights are working, started with Dubai, Kuwait. Indeed, they will soon start with Egypt. The Turkish flights, of course, in to Damascus Airport. We're talking about, and the Syrian Arab Airlines flight. So it's open again, but the most people are still using Beirut and then traveling by road because they're not confident about the airport. The road they don't drive at night because security is fragile, and according to the HTS friend, there's still no unified administration. When I say HTS friend, I mean a guy who's come back to Damascus with HTS is not actually an HTS fighter. But the so security is fragile. Some groups, the HTS guy now talking, some groups from Assad's time are still there. Day before yesterday in Jabli, they hunted for people from the new administration. So hunted mean tracked them down and killed them. And the guy, my Alawite friend, said exactly the same. Really, yeah, and said that yes, indeed the resistance movement, the Alawite side of the resistance movement to the new administration, starts from Jabli because that's the area most of the officers come from. Jabli first, Tartus second. Some villages in the Jabli region have 50 or 60 generals, he says. Anyway, so these guys, the Alawites are divided into four tribes, and the Alawite tribe that provides most of the army officers is the tribe that is into war. You know, they have different roles, and so they're quite fierce guys. And of course, my Alawite friends says, no, that's exactly why we're never going to have an Alawite state, because the Alawites will fight each other. A unified, what unifies, this is my Alawite friend saying this, what unifies the Alawites is the non-Alawites. Yeah, so basically, I mean, they are what they are. It's interesting. So there is this kind of trouble if you're driving at night. You have to watch out. They're not just killing people; they're kidnapping people. And meanwhile, my HTS friend tells me there are a few businessmen who used to have close relationships with Iraq coming back, and these are prominent people coming back, not just to the capital but to Deraa and so on. He named names. I'm not going to name the names because I don't want to get anybody into trouble, whether they deserve it or not. Anyway, some of these businessmen are working with the same guys who are working with Iranian crude before. He says, that my HTS friend, there should be verification because they have huge cash from the last period, but there's no one from the new administration that understands that. And that my Alawite friend also confirmed exactly that. He again named other names, and he said, which I won't repeat. I'm sorry, but I can't get individuals into trouble. But he said people from the previous regime, this is my Alawite friend calling it the previous regime, people from the previous regime are returning. And he says because HTS is struggling for money, so they're coming back. In other words, they are paying money to HTS to come back and take up business roles they had before, because HTS it's kind of like tax, I suppose you could call it. So there are people of that kind back again. Now, the main company operating on all the new contracts is Al Baynak, owned by Bilal Erdogan. They have experts sitting in Damascus working for Al Baynak who are trying to make all the new contracts. And this again is confirmed by my Alawite friend, who says the problem, however, for these guys who are trying to rewrite everything, is that until today, the courts are closed. Until today, they haven't opened any official public institution. So this is my Alawite friend talking. I don't know on what basis they're signing contracts. There's no proper government, no even the official appointed president. The president hasn't been declared. So that's what he says. He actually went on to say, people don't understand, this is my Alawite friend, why Yolani didn't call for elections straight away, especially in the first week or two, and it was super popular. I mean, you know what it is. New government's always popular. Then after a while, things get less popular. My Alawite friend said in Damascus now, there's 1 hour of electricity a day. Under Bashar, there were 4 to 6 hours. Well, there you go. That's what he said. So, yeah, my HTS friend also pointed out they are planning, or confirmed they are planning, to redraw the maritime treaty to the benefit of Turkey. It's payback. Yes, the Turkish are very advanced in this negotiation. The only country in the Mediterranean that has not signed a agreement on seabed control and so on is Syria. The others have done so. So, yes, the guy, my friend associated with HTS, said it's a dangerous time. HTS, the only people in power, and they appoint people from Idlib who've been fighting and who've never been to school. They don't understand. They rely on a director from MIT, that's the intelligence service of Turkey, who advises them. So that was an interesting point. Now then, yes, and yeah, so where are we at? Let's talk about the Russians, because there was a lot of talk about the Russians. My HTS friend said the Russian base in Tartus port is in the last terminal on the north side of Tartus port, and the new administration has refused to allow ships to enter. Now they will leave. They are leaving. Well, there you go. And the HTS friend said in the Russian air base, they have opened it up for HTS to take over. They've been removing equipment. Well, interesting thoughts, but then you get my Alawite friend who says, well, no, not really. He says the Russians are coming back in force. There is no way they are leaving. They are actually establishing a new base in the mountains, literally building a new base in the mountains of Latakia. So that's a complete contradiction. I don't know how you can sort out those two things, But if he says they're building a new base in the mountains of Latakia, he knows the Russians are building a new base. Well, we'll have to just watch this space, won't we? I don't understand really what's going on. The HTS says the existing bases are being wound down. I really don't understand it, or the backstory to that. You'll have to explain it to me. Yeah. So this we have going on. Then, yes. What other little footnotes? Yes, my HTS friend, they said there are quite a number of Uyghurs. I was just asking him about this. Yeah, he said, yes, there are quite a number of Uyghurs with HTS. In Tartus seaside, at the end of Tartus Corniche, they have a little camp there just for the Uyghurs. He said, I don't think anyone understands what's going on. You know that Turkey occupied part of the north of Syria on the coastline years ago. In Syria, it's disputed territory, but Turkey's established itself there. From Marseille in Turkey, some of the Syrians there are being asked to work in the ministries in Damascus. So the new foreign ministry, for instance, the staff in the foreign ministry are Syrian Turks, if you get this. And he says HTS is the only powerful group, the only one that pays its employees a salary. The rest of the groups don't have funds, so they are starting to fail. The HTS is trying to show themselves as the government in every city, but their officials all use nicknames. Even when they're appointed ministers, they don't want to use their official names. So that's interesting. The HTS gave the Kurds a deadline to join the Syrian National Army, and they haven't. So they they started to attack the Kurdish towns. They want to liberate the oil. This is the HTS guy. Oil region. They need the oil. Meanwhile, Turkish are trying to absorb towns like Afrin into Turkey. But the town they're currently attacking is called Al Forad, where the lake is, he says. And my Alawite friend said, yes, absolutely. The real reason they're fighting the Kurds is the oil. Of course, they also want to release the ISIS fighters up there that are held by the Kurds. But the Trump administration seems to be willing to keep U.S. troops in northeastern Syria. So that's bad news for the HTS as he sees it. Meanwhile, Israel. The Druze first. The Druze. The Druze area also ignored a command to join the Syrian army, but they haven't. HTS has not started any attack on the Druze, just in the Kurdish area because of the resources there, because of grain and agriculture, gas and oil. Meanwhile, what? There's so much, really. Meanwhile, Israel has taken up to 6 kilometers in from Deraa on the way to the Golan Heights, plus the Israeli border area. Obviously, the Israelis are on Jebel Sheikh. They've taken all of that huge swathe of land. So that's that. What else to tell you? There is a lot to tell you, actually. My Alawite friend was mentioning the fact that shipments of weapons are coming in from Lebanon to the Alawite region. One was stopped last week. Who's sending it, he doesn't know. But the yeah, the and my HTS friend says the Alawite areas from the seaside is the seaside area, Tartus, Latakia. Well, we know that. He says they become very useless. He means the Alawites. They have failed. They have no leaders. Most of them were in the part of the old system. They start to be very failed. That's how the HDS guy says. Unlikely they could have a large part in the future. Not even any minority will accept to be represented by them. They run away. We have to forget the old regime and make a new start. We could even have a new relationship with Israel. Well, now that's a surprising thing to say, but yes, there you go. And he confirms again, HTS meanwhile works directly back to back with the Turkish MIT, Turkish intelligence. Now, the other things from my Alawite friend, yes, Al-Qusayb, a Shiite area southwest of Homs, near the Lebanon border, is even more dangerous than Jabli for HTS people. Yeah, Jabli there's a lot of trouble in Jabli, according to, well, we all know there's a lot of trouble in Jabli. According to my Alawite friend, the region of Al-Qadaha, I mean, the HTS people kill 3 or 4 people every day. And in Jabli, it's the other way around. The Alawites, old regime people, are killing 3 or 4 HTS people every day. Interesting, the role of my Alawite friends interested by the role of France. A senior Alawite at a funeral was saying that a little while back that he wanted to ask for French protection and everyone laughed. But on the 13th of January, France called for an international Congress. It's called, but on the 13th of February, France is calling. Forgive me, getting the 13th of February coming. France has called for an international Congress on Syria, in which Syria is not invited. This meeting is supposed to examine transition and the rights of minorities. But here's the curiosity. Syria, new government's not invited, but the Russians will be represented. French are not friendly with the Russians over Ukraine, so it's curious. But they've invited them to a conference on Syria. Yes, according to my Alawite friend, the most worrying thing of all is the Iranian declaration day before yesterday. If the enemies of the resistance think they have Syria, just wait and see. This is from an Iranian close to the supreme leader. Well, there you go. Implying that HTS is only a temporary leadership. My Alawite friend confirms that HTS are having financial difficulties. People in Damascus, in the police, have not received their January salaries. And the paymasters from Jelani's people are saying, be patient. But the police are saying, well, the police in Damascus are saying, yeah, but we have children to feed. So there are some money tensions going on. So that's the situation in Syria currently. And if you are confused by that, then join the rest of the world. But that is news straight off the street, and I'm sharing it with you. I hope it's helpful. I will try and continue to bring you news. If you question me about my sources, I can't give them to you. I mean, for obvious reasons. I wish I could. You just have to take my assurance that they are genuine. God bless Syria. I do hope that the dust settles and it finds its way forward, because it's a blessed country and it needs stability and an end to war, as we all do everywhere. God bless you and God keep you. Thank you for listening.